Okay, good morning. We're up to Siman Reish Ayin Aleph Seif Tes Vov. So, says the Mechaber, Kiddush v'koidem shetam hifsik b'dibur. The person makes Kiddush, and before he just drinks the wine, he's mafsik, he starts talking. Chayze u'mevarich b'er pragofen. So then, he has to make a b'er pragofen again. Ve'ena tzarech lachzar v'lekadish. He doesn't have to make Kiddush again. He just has to make b'er pragofen again. So too, if he's holding the becha and it spills, and he's got to refill the glass, the becha, so then he has to make a ber pragofen, but he does not have to make kiddush again. And therefore, in both of those situations, whether he was mafsik between ber pragofen and drinking, or whether he spilled the becha of wine and he's got to refill it, in both those cases, he has to make a new ber pragofen, but he does not have to make kiddush. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Sif Katan Ayin Hey. Hifsik b'dibur, v'im hifsik b'dvar hashayachim l'suda. If, however, he is mafsik with things which relate to the suda, v'kol shkein b'dvar hashayachim l'kiddush, or certainly with things which relate to kiddush, then lo have a hifsik b'di'eved ve'enet tzorech lachsav levarich, and therefore he does not have to make a new bracha of ber pragofen. Ve'enet tzorech lachsav lekadish. However, he does not have to make kiddush again in that situation. The hifsik eina megareya because the hefsek is only a problem vis-a-vis the ber pragofen, because the guy spoke between making the bracha and tasting the wine. But he's been yotze the kiddush shoyal kois kedin v'yishtane ato acha bracha, and just something happened after the bracha. So he just needs to make the ber pragofen and not to make the kiddush again. And so too, if he spilled the becha, the wine spilled out, again he just has to make a ber pragofen and doesn't have to make kiddush again. Says Mishnah Berurah Ayin Zayin, Mavarech Alov, he makes a new ber pragofen, Dal oisa kois lo hedayta mitchila, because my das was on kois A and not on kois B. V'im hedayta b'tchila b'shas bracha lishtes yain yoseh. If, however, he had in mind to drink further wine after Kiddush, then he doesn't need to make ber pragofen. You just quickly pour another glass. Sorry, in the case of hefsek, he just drinks the kais. Or this is going on the case where he spilled the wine. If he spilled the wine and then he was planning on drinking more wine, so then the ber pragofen will cover subsequent kaises of wine, and then he just has to refill the kais and drink it. So long as you don't sort of speak and be mafsik with other non-kiddush related things. Okay, but he doesn't have to go over, he doesn't have to repeat and say kiddush again. The kivin shekiddush mitchila alayayin kadin, because he made a good kiddush. V'gam to'am kashir, and he's also now drank the proper amounts of wine. Even though it wasn't on the case with which he made kiddush on, still yotza. So long as there wasn't the hesach hadas in between, he quickly sort of poured another case. But if he went from his place of kiddush, in the meantime, before he had tasted from the kiddush case or from a glass of wine, then that's a hesach hadas of the kiddush, and he has to make a new kiddush. Okay, so just to summarize, because the Mishnah Berurah then goes on to talk about another thing, what have we said? The Mechaber says that if a person speaks between making ber pragofen and making kiddush, or if he takes his glass of wine, spills, and he has to refill it, then he makes ber pragofen again, but he doesn't make kiddush again. However, if the hefsek he's talking relates to the suda, or certainly to kiddush, then that's not considered a hefsek. If when he spills his wine and he needs to refill it, we said he needs to make a new ber pragofen, that's only if he wasn't planning on having more wine. But if he was planning on having more wine during the meal, then he just has to refill his case, and then he's good to go. Okay, now the Mishnah Berurah then goes on and talks about another case. Kosva poiskim. This is halfway through Ayin Ches. Kosva poiskim. In kiddush ala kais v'sovashu yain. Famous case. He makes a kiddush. He's standing there holding his becha, and he thinks this is wine in the becha. It turns out that actually it's not wine, but it's vinegar or water. Yikach kais acher shel yain v'yivorech ber pragofen. So then he has to get a new kais and make a ber pragofen on it, and then he has to make kiddush a second time, because since it was not wine in the becha, It comes out that he wasn't actually making Kiddush on the case of wine. But he hasn't made Kiddush. But again, if, however, he was intending to have more wine, so similarly, if he has in mind to drink more wine, then he just has to make ber pragofen in that situation. He just has to make Kiddush again and not ber pragofen.
Would that be the case as well if it's not wine but it's something choshev?
Yeah, we'll see. This is coming up now. I think this is what you're referring to. That's specifically if in the becher he's got something which is not choshev, water or something like that. If he's got some other beer or some other liquid, which is choshev and therefore is a chamar medina, then he doesn't need to. Yeah, your question. You suddenly look at the case, you're about to make a bragofen, you just made Kiddush, and you realize this is beer, this is, fresh orange juice or something. So then you make a shahakal and then you're okay. For that which you've got to make Kiddush a second time, where there was no water, there was no wine there. Bekli ala shulchan ala safsa bez kiddush. There's a bottle of wine in front of you. For daito lishtas mimenu achach, and your plan was to have some more wine during the meal. Then ein tzorich gam lekadeshenis. You don't need to make a second kiddush. Tavikilu kiddush al kol hayayin shemuchen lefonov. It's as if you're making kiddush on whatever wine happens to be there. There was wine around. For yishte mimenu tekef moli lugmav, and you quickly have a moli lugmav, and therefore you're okay. For yesh omrim oid. Even if there wasn't wine in front of him, there was yochala on the table because you can make kiddush on bread. You don't need to make a new kiddush. And kiddush ala pas, you just make a bracha of hamoitzi on the bread. Now, when is that true? Only for those people who have that minhag to wash first and then to make kiddush on the bread. For niradim kiddush kedim netilas yadayim kamin hagenu. If, however, your minhag is like most of us do, you make kiddush before netilas yadayim, ein shayach lo medachala kiddush alapas. You can't say that really the kiddush is going on the bread because that's not what you were thinking. That's not your plan. You were planning on making kiddush on wine and then going to wash and then doing the bracha on bread afterwards. Okay, and then just to finish off this sif. This is going back on what the Mechaber said, that if you make Kiddush on wine and you're mafsik between ber pragofen and the wine, you need to make a new ber pragofen, or if you spill the wine, you need to make a new ber pragofen when you refill it, if there was no other wine out there and you didn't plan on having more, but you don't need to make a new Kiddush. Says the Mishnah Berurah, says the Mishnah Berurah Ayin Tes, Kosev HaMogen Avram, Dim Kiddush Shachris al Sheichov Nishbach HaKois. If you made Kiddush on beer, let's say, and the kois spills, Ein Tzorech Lahavi Acher. You don't need to make a new one. Ki Yesh Oimrim Shadai V'Mashem Mevorach HaMoitzi Lapas. Because some say it's sufficient that you made HaMoitzi on the bread. V'Agon B'Kiv Ega B'Chidush of Chelik Al Zeh. So if you look at 91, he explains why. For Kosov, he says, Sheloi Shasam HaSheicha. Because if you're making it on beer and you spill the beer by mistake, then nimtza shahisa birchos levatala. It was a shahakol which is levatala. For kim shevada lo yotze bekiddush ala kois. And if you have in yotze kiddush, lama nismech ala imrim shadai papas. Why should you be semech on that? So either way, that would be a machlekes b'kivega and Mogen Avram. Let's just finish off the last two short seifim. Tez zayin lo yitaamu hamasubin kodim shita hamakadesh. It's important that the people there around the table do not drink from the wine before the Makadish drinks. If they need from his case, that he is pouring into their cases which are empty or their pogum, they've drunk from it previously. But if they're all standing there at Kiddush, holding their little bechers with wine in it, they can actually drink before the Makadish drinks. So that's our practice normally is that the Makadish, the person making Kiddush, gives from his wine and then they drink, so there's no question. But he should drink first. But if they're drinking from there, they've got like a little bit that people pour out beforehand, and then they just drink themselves, like a communal Kiddush, things like that. Then, as soon as the person's made Kiddush, they can drink. They don't have to wait for him to drink. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Lo yitamu hamasubin. They shouldn't drink. Hainu. Even if they have their own things, pogum nikra kashatam and amashkim mitchila. They drank from it previously. Mavur b'sif she'achazeh to hakosis shel mesubin pogumin. Where the kosis of the mesubin of the guests are pogum, then in that situation, what you do, mitzvah sheyishbech hamakadosh ma'at b'kois l'toich koson. If he pours a bit from his kiddush cup into their pogum cups, which they previously drunk from, that actually is misakin it. Shebezeh yisakin koson shlei pogum. V'hel shehem zukukin lekoset shichin lahamtin olav sheyitzim mitchila. They should wait for him because they need his kiddush. But Yud Zayin, ein sarich lishbech b'kois hamakadosh l'kois yain shlifnei mesubin. You don't. The guy making kiddush doesn't really need to pour from his becher into their koisus. Elim kein hoy pogumin, unless they were pogum and he wants to fix it. She'al sarich lishbech l'kol kois v'kois kadesh yishtu kulam b'kois she'ena pogum. Says the Mishnah Berurah. Hainu kedem shishna mevarich. Kadesh yishtu kulam. Afagav the shtias kulam subin loy ma'akva. Kadel b'ziv dal mikol mokum mitzvah lechatchila sheyishtu amikais she'ena pogum. So just to summarize, just in Sif Tes Vav, what we said was that a person makes a ber gofen, he makes kiddush, makes a ber gofen, and then he spills his wine, or he spoke between the ber gofen and drinking. Then he is yotze the kiddush, but he needs to make a new ber gofen, and he should pour new and make a new ber gofen. And in the case of where he was planning on drinking more wine, then he would not need to make a ber gofen. In the latter case, you need to drink from the wine. So if you make kiddush, the person drinking should drink from the wine first. If other people have got their own small kosses, which are not pogum, they've just got their own little bechers of grape juice or wine or whatever, they can drink as soon as they've heard kiddush. Okay, say that.
Should he drink before